Look, what if I told you that your absolute deepest pain is entirely self-chosen? And get this, that the joy you so desperately seek out every single day is actually just your sorrow wearing a mask? It sounds completely backwards, right? But this counterintuitive, honestly kind of shocking idea challenges absolutely everything we think we know about suffering, happiness, and success. It literally demands that we take radical responsibility for our lives, stripping away those fragile little excuses we use to stay small and comfortable. We spend so much time and energy trying to curate this perfect, frictionless existence. But what if that exact effort is the very thing keeping us trapped? Part 1. The Book of Timeless Wisdom, Khalil Gibran's masterpiece. In this explainer, we're diving into the profit summary. We're going to unpack exactly why millions of top performers, artists, and thinkers turn to this specific book summary as the ultimate blueprint for personal growth. Published over a century ago, Khalil Gibran wrote words that have echoed through generations, because they don't just offer some dry theory, they offer raw, transformative truths. So let's explore this together and discover the profound life lessons hiding right there in its pages. Okay, let's look at how Gibran completely reframes our hardest, most agonizing moments. He writes, "Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding." Just sit with that image for a second. We spend our whole lives running from pain, avoiding discomfort at all costs, right? But spiritual and mental growth, it makes you ache. It's exactly like muscle fibers tearing at the gym during a heavy lift. You simply cannot build a resilient, expansive mindset without first breaking that rigid, comfortable shell that currently surrounds it. The pain isn't a punishment. It's literally the mechanism of your expansion. So how do we actively use this for self-improvement? Well, you have to purposefully steer towards your pain. Let's say your shell is an intense fear of public speaking, or maybe it's a paralyzing fear of failure when launching a new business. Step 1 is just identifying that pain, completely without judgment. Step 2, steer directly into it. Do the very thing that terrifies you over and over, kind of like exposure therapy. And step 3 is letting that intense friction break your shell until new understanding, confidence, and mastery just flood in. You don't just survive the fire, you let it forge you. Which leads us perfectly into the other side of that painful equation, how joy and sorrow are totally inextricably linked. Consider this really powerful comparison between the lute and the knives. The lute represents our joy, our love, our prosperity, the beautiful music of our lives. But that very lute that soothes your spirit, it's made of the exact same wood that had to be hollowed out by sharp, destructive knives, which represent sorrow, hatred, and poverty. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, creating these vast empty spaces inside you, well, the more joy you can ultimately contain when the carving is done. Section 2, the comfort trap, how ease murders passion. Because look, avoiding those knives, avoiding that necessary pain, that leads us straight to the most insidious danger of our modern age. What happens when our intense desire for an easy, frictionless life actually ruins our chances at lasting success? Gibran warns us of a stealthy, genuinely terrifying guest that sneaks into our lives under the guise of protecting us. He says, "The lust for comfort murders the passion of the soul and then walks grinning in the funeral." Wow, what a visceral image. Comfort enters your house as this polite, welcome guest. Then before you even realize what's happening, it becomes the host. And finally, it becomes your master, happily bearing your ambitions while you just sit quietly and watch. Let's be real for a minute. If you honestly examine your lack of success, your stagnant finances, or unfulfilling relationships, you're often going to find you're simply too comfortable to do the hard work of living. Your mindset has been hijacked by convenience. Are you choosing endless digital streaming over building a meaningful side hustle? Swiping on apps instead of risking real, vulnerable face-to-face dating? Skipping the morning workout because, well, the sofa just feels way too good? We have allowed isolation and mediocrity to disguise themselves as modern convenience, and it is quietly killing our potential. Section 3. The true nature of work, love made visible. To break free from that paralyzing comfort, we really have to deeply examine how we spend our days. This chapter contains one of the most powerful main lessons about our daily grind. Khalil Gibran completely redefines the whole concept of a career right here. He says, "Work is love made visible. If you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half man's hunger." The crucial point here is that all work, no matter the prestige, no matter the paycheck, is completely empty unless it's infused with love and personal sacrifice. If you do your job with resentment, just constantly checking your watch and waiting for the weekend, You are literally poisoning the outcome and starving your own soul in the process. But here's the good news. You have the incredible power to transform your daily tasks right now. Before you start a project, just pause. Ask yourself, how can this work be an expression of love? Let that question really sink in. It doesn't matter if you're an architect designing a towering skyscraper, a mechanic fixing an engine to keep a family safe, or actually, even a parent just taking out the trash on a cold Tuesday night. Weaving your heart and your full attention into your work transforms an agonizing chore into a lasting, deeply fulfilling legacy. It shifts you from a passive participant to an active creator. Section 4. Navigating freedom, reason, and love, the balance of the soul. As we navigate our internal mindset and external actions, we inevitably face intense conflict, right? Here, Gibran offers a beautiful paradigm shift regarding those constant inner battles. Have you ever felt utterly torn between being logical and being emotional, like constantly? Gibran explains that you are a seafaring soul. Reason is your rudder, and passion is your sails. Reason ruling all on its own is a confining, paralyzing force. You just sit dead in the water, overthinking every little variable and never actually moving forward. But passion left totally unattended, that's a wild flame that burns right to destruction. Your ship is going to capsize in the storm of your own impulses. You absolutely require both to navigate. You need the wild wind of passion to propel you forward and the cold logic of reason to steer you safely towards your ultimate destination. And applying this delicate balance to relationships, this is where Gibran truly shines. He writes, "Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone, even as the strings of a lute are alone though they quiver with the same music." Real love isn't about losing your identity, compromising your boundaries, or just merging into a dependent shadow of someone else. No way. It's about standing firmly alone, vibrating with your own individual strength, while being perfectly in tune with your partner to create something totally harmonious. If you want to instantly improve those connections, you've got to use this ultimate gratitude hack. Love knows not its own depth until the hour of separation. We constantly take people for granted, assuming they'll just always be around. But if you deliberately treat every moment, every mundane cup of coffee, every passing conversation with a loved one, as if it is the literal hour of separation, you immediately stop bickering over the small stuff. You deepen your connection instantly because you realize exactly how fragile and temporary it all really is. Section 5. 5 unforgettable life lessons. Actionable wisdom from the prophet. We've explored some incredible depths today. To bring this all together, let's look at the key ideas that shape our explainer, breaking them down into actionable steps you can use the second this is over. Here are your 5 memorable life lessons. Number 1, you choose your own pain. Stop playing the victim and actively steer into the friction that causes growth. Number 2, joy and sorrow are the exact same coin. Embrace your hardships because they are simply hollowing you out to hold more happiness later. Number 3, comfort kills the soul. Kill the modern distractions before they permanently kill your ambition. Number 4, work is love made visible. Pour your unique spirit into absolutely everything you build. And number 5, reason and passion must work together. Be the master of both your ship's rudder and its sails. And this actually brilliantly illustrates a vital bonus lesson for all the parents, mentors, and leaders out there. When guiding others, are you a carpenter or a gardener? See, a carpenter parent tries to violently force a rigid, neurotic, pre-planned blueprint onto a child, cutting away their edges to make them fit perfectly. But a gardener parent, they act as a calm steward. They simply tend the soil, providing water and light for a seed that already contains its own unmeasured potential. You can house their bodies, but not their souls. Their souls belong entirely to tomorrow. Ultimately, all of these profound lessons lead us to the incredibly complex concept of true freedom. But Gibran flips this heavily romanticized idea on its head too, stating you can only be free when even the desire of seeking freedom becomes a harness to you. It's kind of ironic, but true liberation only arrives when you stop desperately obsessing over freedom as some distant magical goal, and instead accept absolute, unwavering responsibility for your current reality. Freedom is found in the discipline of the present moment. Which brings us to the final echoing challenge of this masterpiece. You are constantly walking a dangerous, beautiful tightrope between the beast and the divine, between mediocrity and greatness. So I leave you with this final question. Are you living in the night of your pygmy self, ruled entirely by comfort, fear, and petty digital distractions? Or are you stepping boldly into the day of your God self, doing work made of love and enthusiastically embracing the pain that breaks your shell? Which side of that tightrope will you consciously choose to walk today?